I'm here in San Antonio for NAREIT's REITwise, our 2019 Law, Accounting, and Finance Conference. Joining me today is Cydney Donnell, Director of the Real Estate Programs with Texas A&M University's Mays Business School. Cydney, thanks so much for joining us.
Really glad to be here.
Now, here at REITwise, you were on a panel focused on working with REIT board members. As a former professional investor and a current member of several REIT boards, what's the biggest change that you've seen in the involvement and qualifications of REIT board members?
Well, diversity gets a lot of talk, and there's clearly more diversity. I mean, I've been looking at REIT boards for over 30 years now, and I was pretty horrified the first time I looked at one, and it was essentially all white, male, over 60, with real estate experience or attorneys, maybe a banker. And my initial thought was, the real estate management company needs assistance from other real estate people. Where is the other viewpoints? It was really not so much about female versus male or other metrics of diversity that we, particularly in a university climate, are very focused on. It was the diversity of thought that was lacking. So we've seen some progress. Some of it is pretty well being mandated. For example, BlackRock sending out a letter, we want you to have 2 women on a board minimum, the legislation in California. Even ISS, it's a major metric that they look at. So some of it's being forced to happen. But I think over time, other boards realized that bringing in the viewpoints of a variety of experiences adds to the level of strategic thought. Being able to move the company forward. Real estate doesn't operate in a vacuum like it used to. It's subject to the changes in the data analytics, new technologies. While we still need real estate, it's just, to me, it's a lot more complex than it ever was. It's always been a very simple business, but now we have a level of added consumer issues to think about that need to be overlaid and sort of where do you go from here? How do you make your product relevant?
And what are some of the best practices that you've found a board should implement? And is there one area that you've seen too often neglected by companies or in their boards?
So, gosh, that's a loaded question. There's a lot of things we could talk about. I think the #1 priority of any board is the right CEO hire. If you don't have the proper leadership for your company, then a whole host of other things are not going to go well. I don't see evidence from other boards that they have a well thought out succession process. I think too many times the assumption is, well, if it doesn't go well, we'll figure it out then, as opposed to trying to develop their leaders of the future. I'm also shocked when I hear from other board members that they don't have executive sessions without management. How can you not have how can you not do that? I mean, the elephant is always in the room. It never leaves the room. And that's kind of back to the way boards were back in the 70s and 80s, where it was really the CEO's fiefdom and he picked all his friends and they never questioned anything he did, or she did, but it was still predominantly male. So that kind of is a best practice. When I hear that people don't utilize it every single meeting, I'm shocked.
And finally, can you talk about challenges and opportunities that REITs face as they look to expand the diversity of their board makeup?
So culture, I think, is very important. You need board members who will come in and be productive and not inappropriately disruptive. You want diversity of thought, but you don't want disruptive thought. And I think the tendency of many boards, mine included, had been to think about, well, who else do we know that might be a good fit? And you only have a limited radius. I mean, we all know a lot of people, but at the end of the day, a lot of the people we know are a lot like us. And we've actually sat down and utilized a number of the search firms and really thought about what criteria would add diversity to this board. And it would not be the things that you might think about. It wasn't a discussion about gender or race or ethnicity. it was about the skill sets, the mindset. Is it entrepreneurial? Is it strategic? Because we did a self-inventory of our current board. And that's kind of the direction that I think I would encourage other boards to really do a good inventory of yourself, figure out what you need.
Great. Cydney, thank you so much for joining us.
Delighted to be here.
For more information on this and other REIT news and analysis, be sure to visit NAREIT's website, REIT.com.